Hey folks, David Stewart here. It's time for the Avengers Endgame spoiler-free review. I will do a review or an analysis with spoilers a little bit later on, maybe over the weekend, maybe today after I get some sleep. It's quite late here in California, and that is because I went to a fairly late showing, and it is a long movie. So before I get to the review, let me warn you, your butt is going to be in the seat for about 3 hours when you include the previews, and indeed there was a myriad of previews before this movie started, including a preview for the new Star Wars movie that several people booed at, which I guess pleased me in an odd way. And there was also a preview for Avengers Endgame right before Avengers Endgame came on. But anyway, you don't want to have to use the bathroom in the middle of this movie. There's so many details and there's so much stuff going on in that 2.5+ hours of movie. You don't want to lose that having to go use the bathroom. And indeed, I did see a lot of people having to use the bathroom in the third act, which was definitely the most exciting part of the movie. And plenty of people running for that door as soon as the credits are rolling. So you don't want to be that person. I will tell you that there's no post-credit scene, so you don't need to worry about any of that. Now, if you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I do think this is a movie that you are not going to want to miss in theaters. And that's because it's not really a movie. It's an in-game experience. It's a capstone experience is the term that I used at the previous Avengers movie, and I think it's actually more applicable for this movie. The point of this movie is not to make a movie with its own identity and its own tight plot and its own character arcs. It's really to make a movie that is the end of the movies, the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and to that end, it actually does a pretty good job. What it seeks to do is to reference all the movies that have come before and put those references in one single movie, and also to provide emotional release for a huge number of character arcs for all these previous movies, particularly those of Iron Man and Captain America. And to that effect, it does a very, very good job. There's some really emotional scenes involving a number of the characters that you're not going to want to miss. There was people crying about this because they've known these characters for years at this point. And they actually do a really good job. And even more to that effect, the way that the plot is set up, the way that the action is set up, it's really very quick and very to the point, and in some cases just sort of fueled by jargon to get the characters into the places that they need to be to have these big emotional scenes. And so one of the things that I was really reminded of watching this movie is the idea of space opera. Space opera, or you could call it soap operas in space, this is like a space opera movie. It's about the characters and their emotional journey, their rival point, how they interact with each other, the big, large-scale drama, rather than the details of how like the science fiction works. And I'll talk more about that stuff when I get to the spoiler review. But definitely they set up the plot in a way that would deliver some huge emotional impacts for some of the characters. There was people crying in the theaters, and I think they did a pretty good job with that. So if you look at the movie as a capstone experience, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. If you're looking for a movie that's super technically well executed, that's not what this movie is. And indeed, if I were to complain about this thing could be changed and that thing could be changed and they didn't need to include this, so they didn't need... That's not the point of this movie. In fact, if I had written the movie to be its own good thing, it would have come at the expense of what it actually is, which is an end to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so to that effect, I think it's a very good movie, and it fulfills its purpose pretty darn well. When I make any complaints about things, individual details that I didn't like, those don't come at the expense of the overall goal. The overall goal is achieved, and it's achieved pretty well. There was even some surprises for me with the plot. I will say that most of my predictions were true. If you've been following those, if you haven't, don't worry about them. But I came in with low expectations. It exceeded those expectations with its good execution of what it was doing, where it intended to have, its intent and its purpose was well done, even if there was little things that I could gripe about. And I will gripe about some of those things when I get to the rather in-depth analysis. None of those will really impact the effect of the movie, and most of them are forgivable. I find that Marvel movies tend to make me very willing to forgive their flaws. And the reason is because they're so good at doing the things that they know that they really want to do well. And in this case, it's delivering those final emotional moments for the characters. And that's something that they do really well. And so that makes me just a lot more willing to forgive the things that maybe pop up that I maybe get annoyed with or think are silly or something like that. So anyway, there's my thoughts on that particular movie. Let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments. Please avoid the spoilers. When we get to the analysis of this movie, then I can talk a little bit more about it. Overall, it was good, and it was good for what its purpose was. If you're not a fan of the MCU or you don't watch a lot of MCU movies, I would recommend that you at least know the ones that really have a big impact. Like if you've seen the other Avengers movies, if you've seen the Iron Man and the Captain America movies, you're pretty much going to be good to go to understand everything that's happening in this movie. This movie doesn't spend time trying to explain all the powers for every character. It just throws them in there and assumes that you are familiar with them and lets the action lead the way and show you what's going on. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't, and stick around for the weekend analysis. Newest book is Crown of Sight. This is a 2-hour read. It would take less time to read this newest little book than to watch Avengers Endgame. So check it out. It's on Amazon.com and any other book retailer of your choice, and I'll see you guys next time.